Brings back the feeling that I So, do you love books? I love books, and I have learned a ton about building a business online, reading great books. Well, today in the Marketing Your Message show, I'm going to share with you my top 5 favorite books on content marketing. Welcome, everybody, to the Market Your Message show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, and author of the book Your Message Matters. And we're excited to be live every Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern, with you so that we can interact with you, create some new content, and also have an after party where we answer your questions. Whether you're blogging, podcasting, doing videos, or wanting to do live streaming, we're here to support you and help you to market your message. Why don't you take a moment right now if you're here live with us and let me know that you're here in the chat. Just put your first name, where you are watching from, and I'm going to say hello to a few people today. And by the way, here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about why you should be reading books, even on content marketing. Even if you don't consider yourself to be a marketer or a content marketer, we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about how to implement what you learn after reading great books. I'm going to talk about my 5 best content marketing books so far and much, much more. So let's go ahead and say hello to a few people today. We got Phil here watching in Richmond, Virginia. Hey, Phil, glad that you're here. He said he's ready for another awesome class. That's great. Let me move this around, make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see these comments flying in. Let's see who else. We got Jenny here from Indiana by way of New Jersey right now. So Jenny, hope you're doing well as you are in New Jersey. We got Jim here from Winona Lake, Indiana. A lot of Hoosiers in the house. That's I guess you call it my home state, even though I live in Florida, born and raised in Indiana. Phil says, Karate Kid, love the shirt. That's right. This is the Miyagi-Do Karate. Another one of my favorite 80s films, the old Karate Kid. We all love some of that. We got Rich here from Michigan. Welcome, Rich. Glad that you are with us. Mike from Cincinnati is here. April's here from Texas, hanging out with us today. Ansgar, hanging out in Germany. And by the way, if you guys are new here, if it's your first time catching the live show live, go ahead and put the word new in the chat so we can say hello to you as well. We've got Matt here hanging out from Colorado. Glad that you're here with us, Matt. And beautiful Colorado, love Colorado. I'm sure you'll be getting some snow if you don't already have some. Another Hoosier in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Rags is here from Indiana. Indiana's dominating. We did a live stream last night and Ohio was dominating. But today we've got Indiana for sure dominating. Awesome. Okay. So we're broadcasting this. I see questions coming in. We're broadcasting this in several places. So some of you are wondering, how can I not see that comment in where I am right now? It's because we're on YouTube. We are in about 3 or 4 places on Facebook, Twitter, and Periscope. So it's all consolidating and showing up right here in my software so I can see it. In fact, I've got an announcement I'm going to make in a minute. I'm going to do a behind the scenes of my live stream show. Something many of you have asked me to do for the last couple of weeks on how I'm actually doing this show. Illinois is in the house. Leslie's here from Illinois. I was gifted your book. Loving it so far. Awesome, Leslie. I'm excited that you are enjoying the book. Perfect. We got Randy from Michigan here. Leslie said, newbie. Hey, Leslie, we're glad that you're here. This is something we do every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We do a pre-show like we're doing right now. Then I deliver some content. And then we use that content to later turn it into a podcast, YouTube video, and blog post. But you guys get it here first by showing up. And then hang out afterwards. Sometimes we give away books. We've given away courses. We've given away t-shirts. and we answer your questions. It's a lot of fun. Awesome. More conversation coming in. Matt says, what platform are you using to live stream? So I'm going to show my entire setup this Thursday night. So this is a little bit of a tease, and I'll go ahead and announce this now. We're doing something special all this week, and here's what we're doing. We are calling it Behind the Scenes Week. Monday night, I did a whole hour session on how I do blogging, showed behind the scenes, how I approach finding a good keyword, getting my blog post to rank. Last night, we did how I do podcasting. That was a lot of fun. It's just very behind the scenes. There's not a lot of slides. It's me just kind of sharing the tools and the equipment and the stuff that I'm using. Tonight at 8 o'clock, come back to wherever you're watching from, because we'll be here, whether it's YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you're right there, just hit the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, then you definitely want to like that page. Wherever you're watching from, I'm going to cover how I do YouTube videos tonight, how I optimize them and put my YouTube videos out there to attract more people to my business. And then tomorrow night, the big one that a lot of people have been asking about is how I do live streaming. We're actually going to set up a second camera so I can give you a tour around this studio. And listen, I didn't come with all this knowledge. I had no clue what I was doing. I don't know how to use fancy studio software, but here's the awesome thing. You can simply have a camera like I have right here connected directly into my laptop. I've got a microphone just out of view. In fact, I'll show it to you. There it is. There's a microphone that you can buy that can hook into your laptop. And with the help of my wife, giving me an 80s background theme, because that is the theme of our show, is kind of an 80s theme, market your message. And then the software I'm using is only available on the Mac, but it's called Ecamm Live. And I'm going to show you exactly how I have this set up and also how I'm streaming this in multiple locations. So we're going to go in deep on Thursday night. So all you got to do, subscribe to the channel, like the page, and come find us at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight and tomorrow night. Now, if you missed the podcasting or if you missed the blogging, go to my YouTube channel and just go to YouTube, type in Jonathan Milligan, and you will find my channel. We are leaving up those recordings until Friday night. Awesome. Meg says, very good sessions. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else got low volume? It's Phil saying low volume, but I turned it down just a notch because I was starting to peak out a little bit, and I don't want it to peak out too much. I'll try to get this as close as I can without it being in the shot. So I think this might be a little bit better. Awesome. B. Christine is here from Alabama. Glad that you are here as well. And so many more of you as well. Awesome, guys. Glad that you are here. Tanisha's here as well. Okay, so we're going to move into the actual content. Actually, before I do, some of you may still not have your book. So, as many of you know, I recently published a brand new book called Your Message Matters: How to Rise Above the Noise and Get Paid for What You Know. In fact, Michael Hyatt endorsed it, as did others, and his endorsement for aspiring writers, speakers, and coaches. This book is a game changer. For a limited time, probably until the end of the year or until we run out of copies sometime, whenever that happens, we're giving away free books. Now, this is only if you live in the U.S. You can actually get a book for $7.95, which covers our shipping and handling. And I've already bought the book. You just pay the shipping and you guys can get a copy. So just go to marketyourmessage.com/free book. And here is a picture of lots of people that have gotten their copy, and they look pretty happy. So we want you to be happy as well. All right, so we're ready to get into the show. Today's topic is my top 5 best content marketing books so far. So with that, I think we are ready to go and get a drink of water, and then we're going to start the actual show. And then stick around for the after party because it's always fun. All right, here we go. So my question is, do you love books? I've got some of my favorite books with me today. The topic for today is the top 5 best content marketing books. Whether you blog or podcast or YouTube videos, or if you're creating some type of content online, what are the best books that you should be reading right now? That's what we're going to talk about on today's show. Hey messengers, welcome to the Market Your Message Show. I'm your host, Jonathan Milligan, and author of the book, Your Message Matters. In today's topic, I'm excited to dive into my top 5 favorite content marketing books. Now, I recently went through all of my books. It's overtaking my bookshelves. I got to buy more bookshelves. I love reading books. I've read just about everything out there related to the industry that I work in online marketing. Now, these books I'm going to share with you today are not just my favorite business books. We can certainly do another episode, but I really narrowed it down to the books that help people who are looking to get better at building an audience online around blogging, podcasting, YouTube videos, live streaming, or even social media marketing. So I've really focused on books that spend at least a good portion of their books on that. Now, I'll do another separate episode on some of my favorite business books in general because I've got some favorites. So what are we going to talk about in today's show specifically? Well, here's what we're going to discover. We're going to discover why you should be reading books on content marketing. 2, how to implement what you learn after reading great books. And then number 3, my 5 best content marketing books so far. Also, maybe you're at this place where you're just getting started. You're like, Jonathan, I'm just starting to figure out blogging or hearing about blogging, or I've been listening to podcasts. I'm thinking of starting a podcast. I don't know where to start. Well, if you don't know where to start, then I would encourage you to check out a download that we've put together. It's a 9-page guidebook called Discover Your Message. It's the Discover Your Message blueprint. And you can get it for free right now by going to marketyourmessage.com/discover. All right, let's get into today's topic. We are going to be talking about my top 5 favorite content marketing books. So, and I'm also, as I'm going to go through this, I'm going to give you a few highlights. I've got the books with me right here. I'm going to go through this, and I am going to kind of start from number 5, work my way to number 1, create the anticipation, and also maybe you've read these books, maybe you've got some favorites of your own. I would love to get feedback, so feel free to give me feedback on the books that maybe I didn't mention that you like as well. All right, I'm going to start with number 5, and number 5 is Social Media Success for Every Brand. Now, this book was written by Claire Diaz-Ortiz. She works with Donald Miller, if you're familiar with StoryBrand. The StoryBrand concept related to social media. I found this to be really fascinating, and I would say this is a good book overall. I will say this, it's really difficult to create books on social media because things change. I mean, things change all the time. Like right now, fleets are a thing, and I think that's the name they stuck with. It's kind of like stories that we see for Instagram or Facebook. Now Twitter is getting into the game on stories, the little short little things that you can do to market. Things change. So obviously it's probably not going to be included in this. But what I did enjoy about this book is they gave kind of a model for you to use when it comes to approaching social media. They use the acronym SHARE, and then they apply it for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. By the way, as I'm going through this, one of the tips that I can give you when it comes to reading good books is as you're reading a good book, always mark books. So when you're looking to mark books, you want to put a little, maybe a little toggle mark or just a little marking in the all the way out in the edge, in the margin. And then that way, when I'm flipping back through a book that I like to just go to my highlights. And so I'll say, oh, I've got a little notch there. What was that about? And a notch here. And it's a way for me to get back into the highlights of the book. Sometimes from there, what I'll do, and I haven't done it yet with this book, but I will find and try to find a blank page on the front of the book, and it becomes my index. I'll put page numbers of the little markings that I did, or I'll just find my top 10 highlights. So that's a way that I can actually find things quickly. Now, this is a great practice if you are a writer or you want to write books in the future. I found this to be incredibly helpful for me when I was writing my latest book, because all of a sudden an illustration that I read in another book or a quote that I remember reading in a book, but I couldn't remember where it was. And so I would grab books off my shelf and I would flip to my own index, and I would be able to, oh yeah, here's where that was located, find the page, reference it in my book. So there's just a little extra bonus tip. When you consume books, make sure that you mark them. Put your top 10 takeaways. Do your best to apply what you've learned, and oftentimes I at least try to find one thing that I can apply immediately when I read a good book. So that's number 5. Number 4, drum roll please. It is the 10X marketing formula from Garrett Moon. Now, Garrett Moon is the founder of CoSchedule. Some of you may have heard of CoSchedule. They are a platform online. Looks like a calendar, but it's actually a social media scheduling calendar. Now, I've been a fan. I've actually been a user of CoSchedule for many years. I'm no longer, and there's some specific reasons for that. I think it's a great software, but I think over time they became more targeted towards corporate marketing departments and teams than they did your individual blogger. And since I work with a lot of people who are just getting started, I like to use tools that I can recommend to newbies. But thankfully, you don't have to have CoSchedule to implement the strategies. Now, this is a big book. There's a lot of reading in this book. One of the things that I particularly like out of this book was some of the time management elements and project management. If you have a project that you want to tackle or get done, they also have something in here called the content scorecard, and kind of what they consider to be the ideal social promotion campaign schedule. So for example, if you have a blog post, how could you schedule that blog post to be shared on social media for the next year? How often should you do it in Facebook and Twitter? And so it's got a campaign schedule, 1 day after published, 4 days, 5 days, 13 days. And so I found that to be super helpful. There's email promotion in here as well, and more. Overall, I found it to be a good read. It is probably got portions of it that's geared more towards corporate content teams in a corporation setting, but I found it to be a super helpful book. All right, are you ready for number 3? The number 3 book is Digital Marketing for Dummies. Now, I certainly am not calling you a dummy, but what I love about content marketing for dummies is that it breaks it down into very, very simplistic terms. For those of you who might be struggling a little bit with some of the terminology or just getting your mind around everything digital marketing, what I love about this is this was actually written by the guys over at Digital Marketer, and they're the real deal. So this isn't somebody who doesn't understand digital marketing. These are people who I've learned from, and I have a lot of respect for. Ryan Dice, Russ Henneberry, and it's a Digital Marketing for Dummies book. And I like some of the things I like in this book. I particularly like some of the chapters on blogging. They have 57 blog post ideas Thought that was great. They talk about crafting winning offers, how to promote your blog post, talk a lot about search engine marketing as well, a little bit of paid traffic and email marketing. So it's a very, very foundational book, but it does have some advanced strategies. It talks about the 10 most common digital marketing mistakes that people make, and some of the trends about where things are going. Now, this isn't a new book. I think this book was published a year or two ago, but I find it to be still very, very relevant. It was actually published 2017. I think it actually came out 2018. So Digital Marketing for Dummies, great desk reference. This isn't necessarily something that you're going to read from front to back. It's more or less opening it up and, email marketing 101 and looking at email marketing 101 or content marketing in the different sections there. So that is number 3. Number 2 book on my list, favorite content marketing books, is Traffic Secrets from Russell Brunson. This is the latest one that just came out. This is actually part of a 3-book trilogy that he's been working on. There's the .com secrets and there's the expert secrets. Those other books, they're great books, but they're not so much focused on content marketing, more about funnels and webinars, things like that. But I found this book to be a great read. It's a thick book. What I love about what Russell did in this book is he focused on sharing principles. He said, he goes, I don't know how, what social media platform is going to come along next, but when it does, here's the strategy that I recommend. One of the things I really, really like in this book that I've adopted is the chapter on Instagram. And he talks about, and he shares this model called the Jk5 Method. I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Jk5 Method is something he learned, and I forget the lady's name. Sorry, I can't remember, but JK is short for her initials. And she talked about if you want to be effective on social media, then you got to share the whole self. You can't just put your business stuff out there. You've got to think about the top 5 kind of domains of your life, the areas of your life, and start sharing them. And some of you, if you've been following me on social media, you've noticed a little bit of a shift. I'm sharing pictures more about what I'm up to with my family, showing family pics, projects I'm working on, hobbies and interests I have, and you're going to see a lot more of that in the day ahead. Here's why. It makes you as the guide or the mentor a much more attractive character and believable character if you're willing to show a little bit more of your life and not just your business side, because you're a holistic person, right? And so there's a lot that I got out of the book, but there you go. And the number one book for content marketing, this is a tough decision, but I decided to go with Your Message Matters. Now, I was having a good laugh with my family. I was talking about it, and I was like, should I make my book number 5? And they're like, no, because the guy who wrote that you should believe your message should believe his message. So, hey, I think I should just go with my own book. So, sorry if that makes me come across egotistical, but if I don't believe my message, how can I expect you to believe my message? And I truly, truly believe, although not perfect, this book is a culmination of 10 years of experience that was placed into 257 pages. 257 pages, 10 years of experience, 257 pages. So Your Message Matters is the book, and here's why. Here's why I wrote the book, okay? All of this that I just shared with you is marketing tactics and tools. But here's what I'm convinced of. If you don't believe you have a message, if you don't know what your gifts are, if you don't know who your audience is, it doesn't matter how much you know about all this stuff. Doesn't matter how many of the other 4 books, all the marketing tactics, the social media techniques. You know why? Because if you don't fundamentally believe that you have a message and you have a gift to share and that you have a unique ability that people need, you're not going to do any of the marketing stuff. You've got to start there first. And so when I went out to write this book, Your Message Matters, I want it to be a 2-part book. Part 1 is a self-development journey. It's helping you uncover your unique gift that you have to share with the world and believing in that gift. And then once you do, it's getting into how do I share my message? How do I market it? And it's why we do this show. Every single week and we bring this to you is because I want to help you do those 2 things. Uncover your message, and then I want you to go out and market it and make a difference in the world. So those are my top 5 books. I hope you enjoyed those, and I would highly recommend that you pick up any one of those books, read them, learn from them. I've adopted things from each of those books. And again, this is why I love books, because the people who write the books take their years of experience and boil it down into a couple hundred pages. Wow. You're not just buying a book. You are buying experience and knowledge. And I think that is a good reason to be a book reader. All right. Well, did you enjoy this episode? I hope so. And if you have ideas for future episodes, let me know. And if you don't know where to start, don't forget we have a 9-page guide to help you. Just go to marketyourmessage.com/discover and download the Discover Your Message Blueprint today. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for being here, and never forget, your message matters. All right. We are back here with you, checking in with you. Matt says, I can hear you can get a free copy of that book. Yes, Matt, you can. In case you missed it, I'll put this up again. So we still have some, every week we're looking at those quantities going down, down, down. So here's the deal. I, as the author, bought a bunch of copies. In full transparency, I bought 2,048 copies of my book, shipped them to a warehouse, and we've, I think, already gone over half of them are gone. And so until it runs out, oops, my microphone just went way up high. Sorry about that. Though I just slid the books over to the, and it hit the volume on the microphone. I was like, how did that happen? All right. So you can actually get a book, marketyourmessage.com/free book. Now this is only available in the US. Unfortunately, shipping cost right now, and even with COVID, it's just way expensive. But if you're international, I'd recommend that you go on Amazon and get the Kindle version. It's the cheapest way to get the same book. And yeah, I definitely would go grab your copy, because when we run out, I don't think we're going to buy anymore. This is just kind of an initial launch offering this. So basically, I bought the book. You just pay for shipping. So $7.95 kind of covers our cost to do the shipping and handling from a warehouse, and it's yours to have. So that's where you get one. All right. So we're going to hang out and answer some questions today. So what questions do you have? I'm going to be here for the next little bit. Put in the capital letter Q so that it stands out in the chat, and I'm going to check in with everybody right now. Maybe you have a good book to share. Maybe you've got questions about any of these books I shared today. Maybe it's about a topic completely different. Feel free to ask away. All right. Lisa said, very helpful about indexing. Thanks. Yeah, I have a whole strategy I use for books, and maybe I'll do that as one of the topics. But like a next level that I like to do is to actually take pictures. Now, I've been using Evernote. Evernote's becoming increasingly something I'm not using because it's taxing on the computer to have it on locally. It just eats up memory, and it's become bloated in my opinion. But I still am a fan of Evernote. I'm starting to use something new called Bear, B-E-A-R, for a lot of my writing. It's an app that I really, really love for writing blog posts or email content or guest post as well. All right, Matt says the 10X marketing formula is available free on Kindle Unlimited. That's cool, Matt. I did not know that. Yeah, I have Kindle Unlimited and use it as well. Although I do prefer the actual physical books, but I do have a Kindle, and sometimes I just like to read on my phone on the Kindle device as well. Okay. Let's see. Jenny, I think it is Jenna Kuchar. I believe you're right when I was talking about earlier. It's called the Jk5 Method. And just to go a little bit more on that, what I did on my phone is, your phone is always with you, so you can take pictures everywhere. What I did on my phone, I have an iPhone, I created 5 albums. So if you go to like photos and albums, so I have 5. So here's the ones that I chose. So these don't have to just relate to your business, okay? Because when people follow you on social media, you attract people for different reasons. That's kind of the point. So for one, I put sports. So I'm a big sports fan. And so for example, I'm big into sports card investing, sports card collecting. I used to do it when I was a kid, got back into it as an adult. And I've got a bunch of sports cards. I buy and sell sports cards. I sold some yesterday. I got to ship out today. I love sports cards. And so I want to share a little bit about what I'm doing with sports cards. I have one for online business. So that's actually my, the work that I'm doing. I've got one for family. So I've got an album on my phone for family. And let's see what else. I've got one on self-development. So I'm a big kind of productivity nerd. So when it comes to just living life well all the way around, spiritually, physically, mentally, I like sharing photos or things that I'm doing with self-development. Reading is a good example, books I'm reading. And then the last one's faith. So as a Christian, I certainly want to be an example to others. I certainly don't want to push, force, or impose my Christian faith on others. But at the same time, it is who I am. I can't separate that. And so at times, I may have a quote that I read or a verse that was meaningful to me that can be an encouragement to Christians and even non-Christians alike. So for me, those are my 5. So I would encourage you to think about, what are your 5? What are the 5 kind of main domains, hobbies, family, interests that you have that describe you? That would be the 5 for me. Hope that helps. All right. Mike says, your book definitely belongs there. Thank you, Mike. I'm always hesitant to like self-promote. I don't like to self-promote. It's just not in my nature. But you know what? I don't know. I just thought, first of all, I thought it'd be funny. You thought you guys would get a good kick out of it if I put my book number 1. But you guys would probably be chiding me if I put my book at number 5. All right. But the thing is, we got to get this out there to more people. I don't have the Russell Brunson audience. I don't have the Ryan Dice audience. So we got to get this book out there. And that's one of the things I'm committed to, especially this next year. I'm trying to get on over 100 podcasts. Some of you saw recently, was just interviewed on the Ziglar podcast, which is really cool. I am being interviewed tomorrow for Jeff Brown's podcast. Many of you might have listened to that podcast called Read to Lead. So I am very, very excited about being on his podcast as well. He covers books and with, going deep into books with authors. So that's a lot of fun. And that's one of my goals, is to get this book out there. I want more people hearing about it. By the way, if you haven't had a chance to review it, that's how you can help me out. Just go over to Amazon, take you 30 seconds, and leave an honest review if you enjoyed this book. And by doing so, it helps the algorithm. So when people are searching, more people see the book. We definitely need to get some more reviews out there. I think I don't really know how many the publisher has sold on their end. I'm not privy to that information. So in bookstores or Amazon, I really don't know. I know we've internally sold a little over 1,000 books by me pushing free books. So there's at least 1,000 people I would love to come back and give a review. And we're sitting at like 33 reviews. So I would love, love, love to get some more reviews. And thank you. I know some of you have already left reviews on Amazon. Thank you for doing that. But people pay attention to that. People pay attention to that social proof. Because if a book doesn't have a lot of reviews, you're kind of like, maybe it's not that good, right? So we definitely want to work on that. Leslie said, is Bear for Mac and PC? You know, it's a good question, Leslie. I'm not sure. I use a Mac, but Bear is on the phone. I've got it on my iPad, and I have it on as a separate desktop app on my computer. Absolutely love it. It's great. Let's see. Trying to make sure I'm not missing any questions coming in here. So several of you are saying you'd love to hear my strategy about reading books. Then I may just have to do it. I know it's not an exact fit to market your message, but I guess in a way, for those of you who want to write books or you're wanting to glean research to use it in your content, that's the other thing. By being a voracious reader, you make yourself resourceful because you're whether you realize it or not, you're banking this knowledge that kind of bubbles out and comes out of nowhere because you're constantly filling up with this knowledge and experience from books. Okay. Question from B. Christine. Jonathan, signed up for Fast Track, but don't know how to access it because I didn't get a confirmation email. I sent a request to the admin email. I haven't got a reply. How do I access it? So here's what I would do. You should hear back pretty soon. If you want to expedite it, shoot your email to Roxanne@marketyourmessage.com. Roxanne@marketyourmessage.com. That'll go directly to a person who can help you. And she can make sure you get access today. And also, we want to find out why you did not get access because we want to make sure everybody's getting their login access. Awesome. And what she's talking about is, I'm talking about this in my night sessions, is Fast Track Lab is a monthly membership, kind of a private mentorship with me that you can get for $30 a month. And you can cancel at any time, but I do live deep dive trainings on specific topics. And then I do open office hours calls. And also we have as well some, past classes that you can dive into. And so let me just show this to you guys because this offer would be good for you as well. Is right here. So this is a special private link that we've set up. It's only available until Friday night. And this is for my Fast Track Lab. And this is our monthly membership community. It's $30 a month. And the easiest way to describe it, it's Netflix for bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, and live streamers. If you enjoy the show, we go way more in depth on 1-hour classes on how to do all of this stuff step by step. And if you join this week, we're including some pretty phenomenal bonuses. Bonus 1, you get access to the Discover Your Message Challenge. This is a $197 course that we sell. You get that for free. Bonus 2, you get the Launch Your Platform Challenge. This is a $297 course that you get for free for joining Lab. Bonus 3 is you get to stream all the past classes. We've got over 217 classes in there now. So literally this could be everything you need going into 2021. You can literally search our database and say Facebook ads or membership site or affiliate marketing or blogging or podcasting. And there's a class in there that can help. And then this is the big one, bonus number 4, just until Friday. Or if you're already a lab member, we are going to give this to you as well. In fact, we're going to give all these bonuses to lab members as well. So if you're already a lab member, no worries. If you're not a lab member, this is the incentive. Bonus number 4 is a free ticket to Your Message Matters Live. I know several of you that are here, you attended our 2-day event. It was a virtual event We're hoping to do it in person, so this would include an in-person ticket in June. Right now is when the date is. We'll see how COVID goes, but whether we do both virtual and in person, or just virtual or just in person, you guys will get a free ticket to this 2-day event, which is a $297 value as well. And so here's the breakdown. Now, I wasn't going to share this today, but since you guys were asking about Lab, I thought, you know what? Those of you that are here, I want to make this offer to you as well. So basically, here's what Lab is. You get a live monthly private class with me on a specific topic. We do a live office hours call every month where you can come and ask me direct questions and feedback. I can share my screen. I can share your screen as well. We got a bunch of classes you can stream. You get the bonuses and all of that for just $30 a month. All you got to do is go to this special link. JMill, it's just my name kind of shortened. jmill.biz/lab will take you to this. $30 gets you all of this. And you can cancel at any time. So if you do it for a month and you decide, you know what, this isn't for me, that's fine. You can always cancel it. You're not locked into a contract. And here's the big kicker. For over 6 years, I have not raised the price of Lab. But now that we've included so much content and classes, starting next week, or not next week, next year, the next time we open up Lab, we are actually raising the monthly price to $47 a month. So starting in 2021, the price for Lab will be $47 a month. Everybody who's currently in, or anybody who gets in this week, can lock it in at the lower price. You'll never pay more, $30 a month to get Netflix version of blogging, podcasting, and YouTubers. So there you go. If you got any more questions, let me know. But that's good until Friday night. And then we will shut down the doors for this year. And we will reopen Lab next year at a higher price. Awesome. All right, so let me try to answer a few more questions. Tanisha said, I gave away copies of your book to friends and family. Thank you, Tanisha. Awesome. Tanisha said she left a review. Thank you. Jenny says she's reviewed. Thank you. Appreciate it. Phil says, you just said you don't know how many the publisher has sold. I assume you get reports at some point. Will you get reports for book sales? I assume you're paid for volume of sales. Yeah, great question, Phil. So here's kind of the answer. So I'm not privy to all that information, and this is my first time doing a traditionally published book, so I didn't know what to expect going in. One of the things that I had to make a decision on early is if I wanted to try to push this book to become a bestseller, like USA Today bestseller, which is easier than the New York Times bestseller, or Wall Street Journal bestseller, or one of those, then you really have to have kind of a coordinated effort to push all the sales towards reported outlets like the Barnes and Nobles, places like that. So I didn't want to do that. So I decided I want to go strategy of actually purchasing my own books so I could see how many books am I selling, get the books in the hands of people. Plus, I really just wanted to do a free book plus shipping funnel. Now, that being said, the good part of that is I know how many books I'm pushing internally. What I don't know is there is still people in my audience who are going to Amazon and buying books, or they're going to their local bookstore, they're going to Barnes and Noble and buying books, right? Now, the way that it works, and I forget the terminology, but typically the way that I understand it is, your Barnes and Noble will get a certain allotment of books, and they will put those books on the shelf, and they have a certain period of time where they can return unsold books. Once those come back, then you've got a more detailed number of what books are sold. I'm sure there's other ways, and So it's still kind of new. I do get, as the author, I get a monthly report from the publisher. But the only one I've got so far was for September, and the book wasn't even out yet. So I'm sure I'll get more data that would be useful then. But I'm just kind of flying blind until I start seeing more detailed reports. As far as royalties, the way it works usually, for those of you that are curious, is a publisher pays you up front to write the book. So you get what's called a royalty or a book advancement. Typically, you'll get half right away when you sign the contract, and then you'll get the other half when you turn in the draft manuscript, and then they start their process, right? Now, once the book goes live, the reason it's called an advancement is because it's against the royalties of the book. So, for example, let's say $100,000 is the book advancement. Then the first $100,000 made goes back to the publisher before the author begins to see royalties. So that's how that works. Great question. Phil says, love Fast Track Lab. Thank you, Phil. Jenny, can you remind me of the dates for YMM Live so I can get them on my calendar? I believe it is the 18th and the 19th of June. Whatever is a Friday, Saturday. So the 2-day event is Friday, Saturday in June. It's either 1819 or 1920. So I don't have a calendar in front of me, but 18 or 19. As soon as we get past the new year, we're going to start talking about Your Message Matters Live. And we're kind of in the same situation we were in last year of like, are we going to do it in person? Are we going to do it virtual? Or are we going to try to do kind of both? Those that feel comfortable coming, we can do it in person. It's just hard to know, especially with the way everything is, all the COVID. I know even in Florida, it's way worse than it was even back earlier this year right now. All right. Nadine, next year, will you give your experience on what it is like to self-publish versus traditional publishing? Yeah, I'll do it next year. I can do it now. Obviously, it's still kind of new. As you know, let me get this book. And maybe I should have put this book in my top 5. This is my self-published book. This was the first one I did in 2015. And I did this myself using Amazon. So this is my first book, 15 Success Traits of Pro Bloggers. There's a physical version, a paperback, and there's an audiobook that actually still sells really, really well. So this is self-published. This was traditionally published. Here's just some quick takes, okay? Self-published is faster, right? You don't have to get permission from anybody. You don't have to pay Amazon a fee to publish your book. You can do this. Like, write your book, upload the PDF, and you can have a book on Amazon. So it's very, very fast. So for example, this book right here, I finished it January, February. It didn't come out till October, right? And for good reason. There's a whole process of it. I would say that this is a better quality book than my book. So the formatting's a little better. There are some pluses and minuses to that. You typically will keep more royalties self-published. Depends on how you negotiate things. This book is not in bookstores and is not on like the Barnes and Noble's database or Target or Walmart. You can't buy it online. You can't buy it in the store. This you can. I think this is a better quality book because it went through several rounds of edits. So it's scrutinized way more, but it took a lot more work. But this was fine to start off with. It's harder to get a traditionally published book. My book agent sent it out to 20 publishers. We had 18 of them say no. 2 of them did not respond. And one of the ones who said no came back around a month later because one other person was like, looked at the proposal and was like, why did we say no to this book? And she went and fought for this book. And I am thankful for that. So somebody at Baker Books, I don't want to say her name because she may not want me to, but she's an acquisitions editor. And she saw the proposal of this book and was like, why did we say no to this book? And I'm so glad she did because that kept the dream alive, friends. So that's kind of my quick takeaways. I would go either way for the next one. You know, if I have like a quick idea or even a shorter version of a book that I really just want to create, I may go do self-published. It's just faster to market. But I would be open to a traditionally published book, but it's a 12 to 18 month process, whereas self-publish is a 6 to 9 month process. Hope that helps. All right. And my wife is on it. She said June 18th and 19th is what we have scheduled for Your Message Matters Live. Awesome. Well, hey guys, let's do takeaways. So if I missed your question, I'm going to make one as we're taking takeaways. I'm going to do one pass through as much as I can. Jenny, unrelated question. What is the average open rate for email? Yeah, this is a question that a lot of people have. And the truth is it's hard to tell. And let me explain why. The larger your list becomes, the open rate goes down. So if someone's like bragging because they have a 50% open rate and you're frustrated because you have a 10%, but you have 1,000 people on your list and they've got 200, that's why. So typically that's what happens. Here's what I learned a while ago, and this is what's super helpful for me. And this will be helpful for all of you who have an email list. Create, and some of you can go back in your stats and ConvertKit or MailChimp or whatever. Look back over the last 6 weeks to 12 weeks. The longer you go, I wouldn't go out any more than 12 weeks. And find your average. Find your benchmark average, and then use that to try to improve upon it. Makes more sense, right? It's much better that you compete with yourself than some unrealistic number that makes no sense. So if you look back over the last 12 weeks and you say, my open rate is 25%, and then you send an email out and you get 15%, that's kind of maybe my subject line wasn't good enough. So maybe I should split test subject lines to find out which ones seem to work better. And so find your benchmark and try to beat it. We do that. I have a scorecard that my online business manager, Roxanne, and I look at every single Monday in our weekly meeting. And we've got 7 to 10 benchmarks like that we look at on sales, revenue, traffic, leads. We create benchmarks based on our prior 12 weeks and we try to beat it. It's much more encouraging. It makes you feel like you're growing without trying to compare yourself to the industry or something else you're doing. So that's my recommendation. All right, takeaways. Phil says, you can get many years of experience from someone delivered in a single book. That's right. Jenny's, she just got her takeaway. Compare my open rates to myself and not others. Awesome. Phil makes a good point. You can also consider slightly changing the subject line and resend to unopens if important enough, like selling or promoting something specific. Yes, I think that's a huge thing is resending the unopens. We forget about that. We're like, oh, I already sent that to my list. I don't want to send it again. Well, if you have ConvertKit, now almost all of them do it, but ConvertKit makes it super easy. There's a little button that says unopens. You click on that. ConvertKit knows the people who did not open the email. You can change up the subject line, send them the same email because they didn't read it anyway, right? Great little tip. Matt says, would love to know what your 7 benchmarks are. Yeah, that would be fun, a fun topic to do for a future show. But here's what I would say. You want to have no more than 10 because I've done it where I've tried to like too many. It's just too many to track. And what I do, and we put this in a Google spreadsheet, and we identify them by traffic, leads, and sales, right? Because to be honest, that's what matters. Leads to me matter more than traffic, but traffic can be a good indicator. So if you want to set up something like a simple Google spreadsheet and then say, okay, traffic, maybe that's my Google search traffic. And then another thing I can track is leads. You know, how many weekly leads are you getting? So you can go into your ConvertKit or whatever and say, oh, I'm getting 10 leads a week or 20 leads a week. And then you average that over the last 12 weeks and say, oh, my average is 7 leads per week. How can I do better than that? Right? So compete against yourself. It just makes sense. And then on the sales portion, if you've got recurring revenue, we track our what's called MRR revenue. We track the actual money in the bank each week. So we have specific goals related to money in. We track a few other things too, but that'll help get you started. All right. Another takeaway from Jenny, be real and authentic with your content and social media. Awesome. Measure against your own benchmarks. Jim, mark the spine to find the highlighted sections of the book. Yes. Simple but effective, right? All the little marks. We need to remember that promotion of our content and work isn't being egotistical. It's sharing our gifts. It absolutely is. In fact, let me tell you a quick story to kind of wrap things up. So many of you know my daughter's been away at college, and she's home currently for kind of the semester break. And when some of her friends from her dorm room, her dorm floor, found out that I was publishing this book, they're like, ooh, I want a copy. So we actually sent like 4 or 5 copies to them. And my daughter told me before I sent the book, she goes, Dad, autograph the books. Like in the front cover right here, autograph them. And I'm like, really? I don't know. That felt like egotistical to me. Like, I'm the author of this book. Signed, right? Because isn't that how, I don't know, it's funny how we interpret things, but then to others, they're much different. And she taught me a lesson. She's like, no, Dad, it makes them feel special. It makes them feel special, like, I know the author of this book. So by you not signing it, you're making them not feel special. I went, okay. My daughter just taught me a lesson. So now lately I've been signing books, and even with, it feels weird, you know, people at church, and I've been giving away books to people at church, and I keep a few copies in my car in case somebody asks me about the book. I'll say, hey, do you want one? And, you know, I've signed it. It feels weird to do that, but I think I get it because I know if I've got a book that the author is signed, it makes me feel like I know that person. I feel special. I feel important because I know that person. So just a little lesson that I've learned that I wasn't prepared for that now I kind of get. So fun stuff. You're right, Jim. Autographing a book gives a blessing to the receiver. And it's not egotistical. It's actually you're thinking of the other person. Phil says, I totally want a signed copy of your book. Well, maybe your Message Matters Live. We will sign copies of books. All right. Yep, Jenny said the same thing. I love signed copies. It makes me even more special. Awesome. Well, guys, we are wrapping things up. One last thing. Don't forget, come back right here tonight at 8 p.m. because I'm going to open the kimono. I'm going to pull back the curtain. I'm going to go in the back end of my YouTube and I'm going to show you how I am doing YouTube videos. We're putting out one a week. I'll show you a little bit about how I outsource the editing process of, you guys saw me record a video right here with you today. So what happens then to get it ready for a YouTube video? And then what do I do to optimize that YouTube video? We're gonna be doing that tonight at 8 p.m. So come back for the night session and learn about that. And then tomorrow night, we're gonna give a tour of this video studio that I've set up in my own home and show you exactly how you can do the same. So it'll be a lot of fun the next 2 nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. Be back here. Until then, I hope you have a great day and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.